Hey, it is a bonus Tiki Technical Tuesday on the giant crab claw mugs, specifically how to make lemons out of lemonade or crab cakes out of bad crab claws. I don't know. We're going to talk about what to do when you have a ceramics failure. Let's go. So the Blue Devil edition of the giant crab claw was very successful. I adored the glaze, and we cast and shipped 150 of these. It was a fantastic edition. Now, I should say that every time we ship a mug, people always ask, do you have any extras? Do you have any flawed mugs, any mistakes? I'd be happy to take them. It just so happens that we did have a flaw. Can you see the flaw? It's right here. Can you see it? Bing. So normally, like a little mistake like this, I would just keep this for my shelf of failure, or I would destroy this. I don't feel comfortable letting mistakes like this out into the wild, but it didn't just happen once. It happened 5 times, which sucked. So why do we lose so many mugs? It has to do with the base of these mugs and the way they're fired. Let's look at a normal Tiki mug. Most of my mug bottoms look like this. They've got this big ring around the edge and then like a sunken inner center, and that creates this really thick lip around the base of the mug, and that gives it lots of strength. These giant crab claws are trick mugs. They're designed to sit like this on a table, and when you're drinking from them, you can't put them down until you've finished your drink, or else you'll spill your drink. Now, that means that I have to fire them like this in the kiln, which means they're going to be sitting on this very thin edge. They're sitting on the edge of the mug. Imagine if like your coffee cup had to be fired upside down in the kiln. The thinnest part of the mug is actually what is going to be touching the kiln surface. So yeah, kilns are terrible environments for ceramics to live in. Lots of heat, lots of expansion, lots of contraction. And fortunately, after losing 5 of the mugs, we found a solution. That solution is dull sand. Dull sand, also known as silica, acts like little ball bearings in the kiln. From what I've been told, it's called dull sand because it was used to cradle porcelain dolls while they were being fired in the kiln. That's a nice supportive thing, and like I said, it moves with the piece. When you sprinkle it along the kiln floor like this, it acts like little ball bearings, and as the clay shrinks and expands in the kiln during firing, it can roll along the kiln floor without breaking, hopefully. Okay, yes, if I had just messed one of these up, I would have thrown it away. I messed up 5 of them though, and that's a lot because they look so cool. I don't want to just smash them, but I also don't want them to go out into the wild as they are now because I don't want people to use them as cups or to really fixate on the flaw. So, what can we do with them? I have an idea, and it's something that I did with an old tentacle mug from years ago that cracked in almost the exact same way due to the same problem. Yes, I am talking about the infamous tentacle mug, and yes, it is now hanging on my wall. Let's make them into trophies, you guys! Yes! So, what I want to do is get some wood, make a custom mount for these so they will hang on your wall like a cool trophy from the VanTiki, or no, not even VanTiki. This is Mysterious Island Fishing Competition, or the Mysterious Island Kaiju Hunting Expedition. I don't know, something like that. I think it would be awesome. So we're going to make 5 trophies. One of them I'm going to keep for my wall, and then I'll sell the other 4. Yeah, let's do it! It all begins with accurately measuring the base of this mug. I grabbed some 1-inch graph paper and traced the exact shape of the bottom of the mug. Then I was able to take that tracing and bring it right into the computer. I also hit the sketchbook and tried to find a shape that I thought looked historical, accurate, and framed the claw well. You know, something that would look spiffy on a wall. So now I'm getting it into the computer. I'm using Adobe Illustrator. It's a vector-based program to draw the final layout of the trophy base. Now I'm basing this on like some trophies that I think look cool, and also just, I think, a shape that will accentuate the claw in general. Now I don't know what I'm gonna make this out of. My plan is to use African mahogany. I was using it on the Fireball Island base, and it worked really well. It machines really well with the shaper, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm going to need to dash to the wood store this afternoon to make sure that I have the material available. And I'm not quite sure on the thickness just yet, so that's going to really change the design. I do know that we're going to make the plaque out of a really neat kind of metal that Mrs. VanTiki found that will engrave blacks, so with the laser, so that'll be like a insert that we're putting in there. Pretty excited about it. Anyway, I'm going to refine this a little bit more, and then I'm going to dash to the store before I get this finalized. We got some wood. It is kind of like African mahogany. I can't remember the exact name for it. It starts with a K. It's about 1 inch thick, and I should have plenty to make the trophy mounts. Now that I knew the exact thickness of the wood that I would be using, I felt comfortable to go in and finalize the actual design for the crab claw trophy mounts. Okay, I have just finished prepping the files for the shaper. I think I did everything right, but I'm still learning the ins and outs of the tool. I'm going to get this up onto the cloud, and we're going to head back to the studio and start cutting some wood. Okay, so what are we gonna do next? Well, I bought that wood, and we're gonna have to cut it up into, like, I guess, bite-sized pieces, because I'm not gonna be using that whole, 6-foot board. So I'm gonna cut up a bunch of sections. I'm gonna prep 5 sections because we have 5 claws, but I'm only going to take one to the shaper first, and we're gonna put it all together and make sure it works before we cut all the other ones, because I don't wanna waste all my wood. Okay, I've got all of my pieces cut here. You can get an idea of just how this is going to be going together. We got your base, and then we have the thing that's going to help hold up the claw. To cut the trophies, we are going to be using the Shaper Origin. It is a handheld CNC router. You have seen me use it in past episodes of Tiki Technical Tuesday and Game Relics. If you haven't, go back and watch them. Using the cloud, I transferred the design I did back in the house onto the Shaper Origin, and now I have placed it and I'm cutting it out of the piece of wood that I had prepped, earlier. Now, I cannot tell you how magical it is to use this thing. I mean, it places things perfectly and it cuts things exactly, as long as I'm doing everything correctly. Okay, now that I've got all the holes drilled, it's time for me to do the big areas. I don't quite know how deep I want to make this pocket to inset the claw in. I think I'm going to go maybe 1/4 inch. I'm going to go in increments, because I cannot add, I can only take away, and I don't want to take away too much. So I'm going to take away a little bit, we'll test fit, take a little more, test fit. Yeah, let's do it. If you're wondering why I'm using the Shaper Origin as opposed to like one of those kind of gantry-based CNC mills that you see, it really comes down to space. I like the Shaper because it's handheld. I can put it away in a box in the corner of the shop when I'm not needing it, and I just don't have a really big studio for a big mill. Look at how accurate that cut is, and look at this fit. Ta-da! Super happy with it. But, spoiler, I think it can be better. In fact, this is the test one that I'm using for myself. The next ones are going to have an even tighter fit. I messed up, but it's going to be okay. This was supposed to be 1/32 of an inch deep in the wood, which, using my handy-dandy chart, is 0.0312 inches. But I put 0.312 into the machine. I forgot that extra 0, and it went super deep. Kills me. This one will be the one that I keep for myself. It's not going to be a big deal because I can put an extra acrylic spacer back there. I'll make up for the mistake. I'll just make sure that I don't make this same mistake on the next ones. Once I got the pocket hole depth dialed in, I cut the outer perimeter of the trophy mount, and oh my God, just look at this. Look at this thing. I could not be happier with the end result. This is going to look fantastic on a wall. Okay, so we're going to move on to the tenon, the thing that's going to plug into the, where did it go? Found it. We're going to be putting a like an outreaching arm into this, and that's why I have this long slot cut in there. We're going to use a mortise and tenon joint. So fancy. I've got it programmed in, and we are ready to cut it. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that I don't mess this one up too. After cutting the complicated bases, I got to say this little tenon was a lot faster and easier to cut. Fantastic. Now it has a little bit of wiggle room, I put a slight offset in there to allow room for some glue. Otherwise, you got to really hammer this in if you make it a total, super precise fit. So I love it. Time to make 4 more of these. All right, so we've got all 5 of these guys cut. These go really fast once I get them set up with that little workstation tool. It's super easy to do repetitive cuts like this. I did not, though, cut more of the bottoms, and that's because I have officially labeled it the test. This is the one that I'm going to keep for myself. I want to try a couple more things on this. I do have this interesting little kind of rounded edge profile router bit, so I might just do a test. Since this is a test piece, now I can mess it up because I messed it up once already, and see if I want to add if adding just a bit of a rounded bevel there will kind of make this pop and look a little cool. So I'm going to do that on this one. I might do it on this edge and this edge just for a little extra woohoo. Yeah, and then I will glue these things together and we will attach a claw and see how it works. And if it works well, I'll make the other 4. Well, I have been hard at work on the wood part of this. Mrs. VanTiki has been hard at work on the laser, working on the plaques. And we've got something really cool in mind. Full disclosure, it was Mrs. VanTiki's idea. She has the best ideas. And that is these will be customized to you. You have to put your name onto these plaques. So whoever gets these, it will truly be your trophy, which is something I'm really excited about. Look at this fit. Super happy. And of course, it's the one I screwed up, so the real ones will fit even better. All right, it is the next day. I am ping-ponging between the newest Library of Libations and this current trophy project. The Library of Libations is looking amazing. I spent all morning on it. Now I am back into the dirty part of the studio, well, I guess the sawdusty part of the studio, to finish cutting the rest of the trophies. The one looked great, so we're going to start on the stack and do the other 4. Time lapse to the rescue. Yes, this is the most tedious part of the entire project, and this is the one moment where I kind of wish I did have one of those gantry-controlled CNC machines so I don't have to hold the machine the entire time I'm cutting it. But that's the trade-off for having a machine that you can put away in a box and hide when you're not using it. After cutting all the bases, I took them outside and used a small router to put that nice edge profile on them all. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got the bases. They are done and ready for finishing. Almost. But first, I wanted to go in and countersink some holes in the back that I'll be using when I attach the mounting screws. And then I went ahead and glued all of the mortise and tenon joints together. Okay, I think that we are ready for sealant. I'm going to be using Waterlocks. It's a tung oil finish. We're going to do a couple of coats. I'll do a coat, let it cure, and then do some light sanding in the second coat. It is extra stinky, so I will be putting on a respirator and gloves, and we'll just get into it, and I think it's time for some time lapse. This first coat, I go ahead and I put it on kind of thick. I find that the raw wood is usually very thirsty, and it really just soaks up the tung oil. In the end, the results are fantastic. I mean, look at the grain on this wood. It is so beautiful. Okie dokie, it is Sunday. Yes, we are working through the weekend, but that's what you gotta do sometimes. It looks like the varnish is all set, so we're going to stick the claws onto the wood. So I was thinking about these things all last night. What would be the best way to do it? And it's the kind of thing that I'm only gonna get one shot at. I considered using like a 5-minute epoxy or even stronger epoxies or maybe some of that like gap-filling foam stuff. But in the end, I settled on a material that we've used quite a bit on the Games Relics project, and that is Freeform Air. We're going to be using Freeform Air by Smooth On? It's a Smooth On product. It is a 2-part syntactic foam epoxy. It's basically an epoxy putty that you mix together, and it has a whole bunch of ultralight filler in it. I don't even know what they use as the filler, but it weighs nothing. This stuff is super lightweight, and when it cures, it is super strong. Now, I intend to pack the inside of the claw here with this putty and then stick it on there, and hopefully nothing bad will happen. Now, this is my test piece, which is the one that I'm going to keep for myself, and it's the one that I'm going to do first. So, if I mess it up, I mess mine up, and I don't mess the rest of them up. So let's see how it goes. I don't want to fill the entire volume with this syntactic foam, so I'm going to probably stuff a little bit of paper towel into this portion of the claw, and then I can build up like a, I don't know, like a baseball-sized mass of the putty, stick it in here, and then whoosh, put it on there. Now, this stuff is super sticky, so I'm going to mask off the claw with some masking tape so that I don't get any epoxy onto the precious claw. I don't think I need to mask the base off. Let's find out if I regret this decision. If you plan on using freeform air at home, my best advice is to plan ahead. It is sticky and it will stick to anything and everything that it touches. So if you don't want it to stick to something, be sure to cover it with paper or tape. Okay, I've got it all masked off so I can handle it without worry of getting sticky epoxy onto the outside of this. It still fits in here. Great. So I think I'm ready to go. And I even got this little dowel so when I put the epoxy in there, I can kind of pack it into position because my hand doesn't fit in here. I really wish it did because I wanted to wear this thing like a little costume glove, but my hand is just too big. All right, let's do it. This is a 2-part epoxy, so once I mix it, I have a limited working time, so we're going to go quick. I just realized that this isn't time-lapse, so I can actually talk. So yeah, going for 2 roughly the same size spheres of clay. Just kind of eyeballing it. It's pretty forgiving. Okay, then we mix them together. Now I would be changing camera angles and things like that, but as you can see, my hands are super gross right now, and I just can't touch the camera to change camera angles. Apologies. So you know it's mixed when it's a uniform gray and you no longer see the white and gray. It should all just be one light gray color. I don't think this is enough. I'm gonna put it in there and then I might mix up a little bit more. So I'll cross our fingers. I put in too much. Okay. Well, I would call that a success. So in 24 hours, that is not going to go anywhere. Time to do the rest of them. Okay, that is it. We are going to let these sit overnight, give them a solid 24 hours to firm up, grab onto those bases, then we will peel off the tape and attach the hangers on the backs, and you know what? They're gonna be done! Alrighty, good morning. It is 6 a.m. on Monday. We are up at the crack of dawn to pour some slip and see if the epoxy is set on those claws. Like a rock. That is awesome! All right, we'll get the tape off the rest of them. I'll pour some slip and then we will put the hanging stuff on the back. Last night was like the night before Christmas, waiting to wake up and look at your presents. Only the presents are giant crab claws mounted on trophy bases. Look at these things. Oh, they are Fantastic. To hang these claws safely, we're going to be using this very low profile VanTiki clip system. I learned about these from a trader, Brandon, and apparently these are what's holding up most of the stuff in Trader Sam's. So if it works for that joint, it's going to work for these claws. I love these clips because they are very strong, they are very low profile, and they're stainless, so they won't rust. I'm even using stainless steel screws here to make everything nice and archival. We want this trophy to last a long time without rusting on your wall. Of course, no trophy is complete without a plaque commemorating the hunter or huntress that captured this fearsome beast. I'm going to be affixing mine with a little bit of super glue here, and I want you to remember that this is my trophy. Your trophy will be engraved with your name if you are lucky enough to score one of the 4 trophies that we're releasing into the wild. There it is! Saved from the trash, rescued from annihilation, the giant crab trophy. Now, this is my trophy. First place, Mysterious Island Fishing Tournament, Henrik and Denise Van Ryzen. We caught this together. But remember, I did make 4 of these. This is the test. There are 4 that we're going to release into the wild, and you get to customize this plaque to say whatever you want to say. So it can be for your home bar, for your club, I don't know. It's up to you. We're going to put the 4 up today for sale. And I'm really excited about it. Now, why don't I make more than 4? Well, it took a lot of work to make these, as you can see. So there's that. And also, I only had 5 chipped claws, and that's it. This edition is closed. We're not going to make any more of this color. I do plan on making more crab claws in a different glaze, and I'm very excited about that. That'll come along later this year. And if these are popular and if people really like them, maybe I will set aside a small portion of that edition to make some more trophies. Anyway, thank you for watching. I enjoyed showing this process to you, and I will see you next episode.